Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to HMP. We hope you've got your sails set and ready for adventure and pirating, as this week we review the live-action One Piece anime series. That's whatever it is. It's on Netflix. And joining me today, people keep asking him about his third sword. Sweet Sean Zakovacs from the internet.
Gum Gum Thumb.
And watch out, he's jumping around naked with his sword again. Bruce Leslie.
My devil fruit was a prickly pear.
Oh, that's very, very good. Today we're talking the first 3 episodes of One Piece, the live-action Netflix anime adaptation, which, let's be honest, over it's become a meme over the time. You know, there's anime. The manga, the anime, and the Netflix series. And the Netflix series is always the dopey one in the last bit of the meme that looks like crap. It's like, hey, the manga's cool, the anime is cool, Netflix, maybe not so much. But this one seems to be living up to a lot of hype. We'll talk all about that. But before we do want to say a giant thank you to the people that support the show over at patreon.com/HMP. Those awesome people get pre-show, post-show, Dinger Zone, and and here's the best part. They just help support this here program, keeps us up and going and stuff, and we just want to say a big giant thank you to all those folks. And if you listened to the after show last week, you know what comes from my heart, man. So thank you guys all for that support and everything. And if you can't do that, at least jump over to the iTunes there, give us a 5-star review, aka Humdinger.
Humdinger.
Really appreciate that. Well, so Bruce, you brought up One Piece, anime dad here. You need to explain yourself. What was your history leading up to this? When did you discover One Piece? Because it's been going on for a minute, yeah?
Oh, well, I mean, it has 1,000 episodes plus.
Which is like an insane thought to me that this, like, a show that I honestly had not really even heard of till like maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
And it's a show that it's kind of like a soap opera in that it doesn't have seasons. So they've put out like 40 episodes a year for 25 years, basically. And there's no seasons. There's no like breaks other than here and there. And, whenever you put 1,000 episodes of anything out, you're not going to be like hitting straight dingers, you know what I mean? You're gonna have a few losses there. So with the live action show, they get to back up to the very beginning and cherry pick what works and ignore what doesn't. And I thought, there's not much else out there that has that weird manga comic book West East crossover. But there's like the big 4 manga / anime, which are these 1,000 episode or 1,000 chapter stories, which include One Piece, Bleach, Dragon Ball Z, and Naruto. And out of all the 4 of those, like my family's probably a Dragon Ball family, but personally, I respect One Piece the most. And I thought, you know what? Let's talk about it, because we got to talk about it eventually. And why not talk about it when it's fresh? Because I think this is one of those rare Western adaptations that's going to have some legs on it.
Yeah. Sean, had you ever seen any One Piece stuff before, heard of it at all?
The only thing that I knew before going into this week was that my daughter, that's totally into anime and manga, hated One Piece, like completely hated it.
Wow.
And so when I heard that they were making the Netflix show and that it was getting good reviews, I asked her about it, and I said, what do you know about this? Because I've heard good things.
You want to revise your statement now, young lady?
Well, what she said to me was, no, it is getting good reviews, and I don't care. I'm never going to see it. So it's like, okay.
So she is
okay,
your
there
daughter.
You go. So I'm not even going to watch this on my own so that we have something to speak to. Great.
Well, One Piece is one of those anime that has so many episodes. Like most of the people watching One Piece now, most One Piece fans weren't born when it started in 99.
Right.
So if you like One Piece and you're trying to get current, you don't got time to watch anything but One Piece. And that's why I never liked it so much, because if you're watching One Piece, you're not watching any other anime. You're not watching any other TV show. You're not watching anything but One Piece 24 hours a day. And that probably chases off a lot of people like your daughter who prefer something like, let's say Death Note, which is great, but only has 30 episodes. So you can really like devour it in a weekend.
Yeah, her favorite anime up until the last couple seasons was Attack on Titan.
It's still my favorite, by the way.
She loves it until it gets to the last two seasons. And then she's like, this is a massive disappointment to me. So I've watched the first two seasons of Attack on Titan, but that's all I watched. And so when it comes to something that, because my time is limited, I kind of parse out what I watch. And so I like to have more than one reason for watching something. Mm-hmm. And so so One Piece didn't stand a chance, because if I'm not gonna talk to my kids about it, then why watch this on my own when there's like 15 other things I could be watching.
Yeah, you show up at work and then just be like, hey, you see that One Piece? And they're like, get away from me. Who are you? Why?
Actually, I am the nerd at work, and everybody knows that. So they usually come up to me.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, what are you hearing about?
You seen this bull crap?
Well, the thing is, One Piece is kind of like the Citizen Kane of anime, where nobody really enjoys it, but everybody has to watch it and talk about like what you can learn from it.
Mm-hmm. See, I don't know. I disagree.
I'm talking about the anime, not this live action.
I know. I'm just saying Citizen Kane is like that when you first see it, but like I don't know. Me, I thoroughly enjoy that movie, and like it did take a while to get to that point, but I think you can. I don't know. That's a whole nother conversation.
I prefer the Money Pit.
Hey, listen, you're not gonna get any
when Tom Hanks taps that statue on the butt as it's peeing water to his bucket, get out of here.
It's good stuff. I can't.
Cinematic triumph.
All right, let's get into it. Here's the IMDb plot line for One Piece. As we know, IMDb always 100% correct in everything they say and or do. In a seafaring world, a young pirate captain sets out with his crew to attain the title of Pirate King and to discover the mystical treasure known as One Piece. This is created by Stephen Medea. Sure, Medea. He did some CSI, Lost, and Lie to Me. Looks like a pretty good resume as far as I'm concerned. And Matt Owens, Luke Cage. All right, yeah. Then we had Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, maybe not so much. Defenders. All right, that's, maybe Steven did most of the heavy lifting. We can hope. But if that was enough, let me sell everybody on this live action anime on Netflix, because this sucker's got everything. We got a stretchy kid who wants nothing more than to be a pirate, but first he's got to get his screw together. We got a lone swordsman, so deep down inside he's probably a decent person. We got an orange-haired girl who looks a little bit like lean beef patty. We got Trunks the Marine. We got some baddies in there too. Dollar store equivalent Skarsgård knockoff. Iron Jaw Marine Man. He's the first time in this series where you say out loud, oh, this is that kind of show, huh? We got a healthy gal in a cowboy hat and a pink ship, a clown who disassembles himself. Oh, yeah, this is a world full of pirates. They saw a pirate get beheaded 20 years ago, and they were all like, yeah, now we all going to do some pirates. We got a sick lady who likes her stories, a shipyard worker who's just making things up. We got flashbacks galore, stretchy limbs, big eyebrow energy, a crummy Jolly Roger, and, of course, a straw hat. This show's got everything.
Huzzah.
So, like I said, we're going to be talking about the first 3 episodes here. I had actually saw only the first episode of One Piece just before this came out, because I was like, all right,
the animated One Piece,
of the animated show. So I'm like, all right, let me watch this. And for whatever reason, I just watched the pilot. I liked it well enough. I didn't hate it, but I didn't watch more than one. I was like, okay. So watching this show, at least within the first little bit, it was like, I feel like I've seen a lot of this already, which was kind of fun.
Well, here's what I'll say is the first episode of this probably includes 4 episodes worth of the anime. And I think that this live action show did a better job for me of explaining the world in which we're living better than the first few episodes of the anime. Because I only watched about 3-4 episodes of the anime and I kind of checked out. But with this, I felt like I had a better handle on why everybody's pirates. Because in the anime, you're like, there's only 2 kinds of people, pirates and Marines. Where's everybody else? But in this, it kind of explains that dynamic. And you see some people that are kind of in between once or twice.
Mm-hmm. Sean, what was your kind of initial impressions with the show?
When I first started watching this show, try to take my perspective on this, right? So everything that I hate about anime is in this show. You got guy with stupid gigantic sword already, like that should be the death knell of the show for me. You've got the guy with the three swords that doesn't make much sense, and he's quiet, and it's that same trope from every anime that's ever existed ever. So like that should be strike two. And then you've got pirates. The entire thing is just lousy with pirates, which outside of the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie, I don't care about pirates. Now, with all of that being said, I absolutely love this show.
Yes, because
I think that the first episode of this show is probably one of the best episodes of like introducing you into this gigantic world kind of show I've ever seen.
And One Piece is routinely rated amongst number 1, 2, or 3 of the best manga and anime of all time, because it really has a great story. And I do think that this gives you the fantasy pirate story way better than any Pirates of the Caribbean ever did.
Oh, that first movie is just it's just so great.
I would say the first movie is charming, but it does not have the fantasy satisfaction that I get from One Piece.
But some people think of that as not a good thing. And I am one of those people. And so I look at every single piece of Pirates, whatever, as like you've got to be the first Pirates of the Caribbean, because all the other Pirate of the Caribbean movies are just straight garbage. I don't care what anyone else says. You try watching one of those movies by itself and tell me how great that movie is. But when One Piece starts, and it starts really cleverly, because it starts with that great voiceover and that actor whose name I forget, Ian McShane, and I'm like, ooh, we're doing something here. Like,
Ian McShane automatically like brings a gravitas level to it that for some reason, like you're right. You're set off on the right track with his voice, ladies and gentlemen. Like,
and he's the right choice.
He's
like
perfect.
That's the other part to this. Like I could not think of a better person to do the voiceover for this. Like that is the absolute right, perfect choice. Does he belong in that comedy movie from 20 years ago that everybody seems to love? Stuntman, Daredevil, where it's dude from Hot Rod. Thank you. Well, does he belong in that movie? No, he's so totally miscast in that movie. But in this, he is perfectly cast.
He's always going to be the guy from Deadwood to me, but he's perfect here.
Man, he's so good in this. And
I'd like to discuss the cast a little bit more before we go on.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because there's a couple of key points. Number one, Monkey D. Luffy is an anime icon, and casting him is one of those things where nobody wants that role. It's like casting the next Joker, so to speak. And the guy they cast as Monkey D. Luffy is so spot on, like uninhibited and happy with it. I feel like they cast somebody who had never heard of One Piece, and that's the way you have to do it.
Maybe, but I don't know. It felt like again, I've only seen the one episode of the thing, but it felt like he captured the energy of that character of what little bit I know of it. I was just like, oh my God, it's like they found that dude.
He's a river man. No, he is, to me, he has his own twist on it, but that makes him perfect because the character in the anime is not aware that he's in an anime.
Well, as somebody who has, I literally knew nothing about One Piece except for it was about pirates, maybe. And so to go into this, I think like I'm ready to hate this. You know, it's got all of the things that I hate.
Yeah, it does. It does sign itself up for that.
The fact that it keeps surprising me, the fact that the casting of Luffy, Luffy is one of those characters that is the rarest of rare, which is that he's so positive and like
And
he keeps everyone around him positive, and so luck happens to him because he keeps a good attitude. Where do you see that? Like rare.
he's like, to me, in my mind, he's like a Pee Wee Herman type where nothing can bring him down.
Right.
I meant to do that type of guy.
Right.
Now, here's another thing though, because I consider myself a person who's watched quite a bit of Western entertainment and a person who understands a lot of anime entertainment. And one thing they've done here in this first episode is they took stuff that takes forever. Like they really make you wait to figure out why Luffy is a rubber boy in anime. But here they're like, we're going to give you that devil fruit on Front Street. We're going to give you why he wants to be a pirate on Front Street. We're going to give you that straw hat on Front Street. And I think for Western audiences, you kind of need like that prelude to the third Indiana Jones movie. You need River Phoenix there showing you everything in about 15, 20 minutes, and then you can move on. And that's what they give us here. Whereas if you watch the anime, it probably takes 2 seasons to get to the devil fruit.
It's a good economy of storytelling.
Yes, and that's what that's basically what I wanted to get to, is that I think I've said this already. Like the first episode of this show hooked me so hard because not only do you have to care for the main character, because that's really what it's about. Like you don't really have to care for a brooding sword kid or girl with orange hair yet. Like that comes later, but like you have to give a crap about the main character, and they nail that so hard to the point where it's like we must protect that boy. Like watching the show.
So let's talk some more cast points. Zoro. Zoro, a huge character in the One Piece anime and the manga. Zoro, of course, named after the Western literary character Zoro. The actor here is Sonny Chiba's kid.
It's crazy, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sonny Chiba's son is the swordsman.
And here's what else is cool. This guy has a career playing live action anime because he was also Edward in the Full Metal Alchemist movies.
And listen, I don't know from any of that, Chiba.
But I think that what with the super anime trope that they have him playing here, like he's great at it. Like he's exactly what that is supposed to be.
And a live action version of Sonny Chiba's kid kicking everybody's butt is so much better than the anime version. Like I mean, don't get me wrong, I enjoy watching the anime where Zoro just makes people look like fools. But it has a real John Wick or a real feeling of, oh my goodness, it's actually happening when you see it in live action. That animation is, well, it's cartoonish by design.
Yeah. And now, that's another thing
the girl,
too. Is,
Nami. Now, Nami seems like a 12-year-old in the anime. But I just want to go ahead and say Emily Rudd, who plays Nami in the live action, is 30 years old. So it's okay if people think she's cute. Like yes. You know what I mean? Like when you're watching the anime and you're like, oh, this is a kid, then it's like kind of weird when they transition to an adult, but they do that a lot of times in these live action adaptations of anime. But she is 30 years old, even though she's trying to play younger here. But if anybody's watching like, oh, I think Nami's kind of cute, it's okay. She's 30.
She's great too. I like the energy that she brings to it. She's a good foil for these guys and everything. A lot of good energy coming from her. I like her.
This Straw Hat crew could not be cast any better, in my opinion.
She's got a very Mary Elizabeth Winstead vibe to her, without all of the I've broken up people's marriages vibe.
I think it's like the Scott Pilgrim thing that you're feeling from Mary Elizabeth. Like she's very Ramona Flowers here, but
she's also tough.
Yeah,
Mary Elizabeth Winstead always plays like these tough guy characters.
She doesn't have any head tentacles like she does in that last thing we watched.
Oh man,
she's like I think what we're about to see, unfortunately for Mary Elizabeth Winstead, is we're about to see a course correction, because this girl has like just tons and tons of star power, and as a matter of fact, I think all 3 of the mains do. Like I would be very, very surprised if we do not see these people in other things.
Are you talking about Sonny Chiba's kid? Because he is a massive star in Japan.
I got to tell you that the kid who's playing Luffy, he is so great in this role, and he is so positive in this role that there's no way he's a monster off camera. He's got to be a monster.
Do you know whose vibe that this kid gives me? Antonio
Millie Bobby Brown.
No, Antonio Banderas.
Yes.
Wow.
You know what
That's pretty good.
You know what? Because Antonio will have like these couple of roles and stuff where he'll go really kind of over the top and really sort of hammy and everything. And like this kid is given that same kind of vibe where it's just like, I'm going all in. We're pushing in with this. I don't care how weird and crazy this character is. I'm leaning into it and it works. Like the way he looks at people, like it's over the top. It's crazy. But like with what you're given with this character, it absolutely works. And it's endearing instead of crazy and scary, you know?
Well, let's roll into episode 2. What do you guys think about Buggy the Clown Pirate?
I think that they are very lucky that they didn't get sued by DC Comics.
Well, I'm just going to say that Japan seems to be enamored with Joker.
Sure.
Because I know
so is
you tapped
America.
out. You tapped out on Ichi the Killer, but Ichi the Killer is a Miike movie that is so inspired by Heath Ledger's version of the Joker. And then here we get this version of the Joker here as Buggy. And it's just like, I mean, if we sit and watch some successful American films, I can sit and point at, oh, this was stolen from Japan, that was stolen from Taiwan, this is stolen from Hong Kong. Like you can sit and point at stuff that let's go to freaking George Lucas and let's go to the Magnificent Seven. I mean, people have been stealing stuff from Kurosawa forever, and it goes both ways. They are enamored with some Western stuff, and the Joker particularly seems to really strike a chord with creative types in Japan. And
I gotta say,
Buggy, which is awesome. I love Buggy.
I gotta say that when I watched Hidden Fortress way after I watched Star Wars, and my mouth was agape when I saw that movie. Holy cow, how much was taken from that movie.
Ichi the Killer 2001, by the way. That's how old that movie actually is. So if anything, they stole from him.
Well, Ichi was still very much inspired by the Joker as depicted in DC Comics.
Maybe. Okay. I'm just talking about at least from the scarf point and everything.
Yeah.
That's definitely taken from him.
And also, for the record, Ichi is not the guy on the poster.
True.
To get to Buggy, I think that like having that first square off against a pirate thing be with Buggy, where it's through no decision making of their own, that they just kind of like fell into it. I think that's a great way to do it, but you can't do it like that after that, right? And the show does that very well, because I was like, you didn't choose your own destiny there. Destiny's finding you. That is not good for character development. And so I had that in the back of my head. I was still very, very much enjoying what I was watching.
It was also important to show that Luffy is not invincible. There are other devil fruit eaters out there.
Right. But I mean, that's not the point I'm trying to make. So like I just kept that in the back of my mind, and I'm still very much enjoying the show. And I think that one of the things that this show, they had to have made a decision at some point that they're going to kill people. There's going to be blood and guts, but there's a level of blood and guts that we're going to have. And in order for everything to work correctly, it has to be this much blood and guts. And they are dancing on that raggedy edge so hard on this show that it's impressive. Like, there's certain things where, like, think of a movie like not to veer us too far off course here, but something like Tremors, where like that movie is a comedy horror movie. So how far do we take the horror where the comedy still works and vice versa? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what this show is doing as well, just in a different avenue for like action, adventure, and comedy. Like, and where they land is so pitch perfect. And I'm going to come straight out and tell you guys, I watched every episode of the show.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
And it is they never jump off of that. They're always pitch perfect with that. There's a ton of stuff in the show that is just bonkers, but as you guys know, I love bonkers. And so like, it's like, what are they going for? Like, especially when I get that you're showing us that there are other people who are eating devil fruit. Like, I get that, but why are you doing this? And then you learn, like you said earlier, Bruce, that to show you that Luffy is not like the biggest, greatest threat to the world. And it's a really good way of setting it up to have like, hey, he's still the little guy, he's still scrappy, and it takes you all the way to the end of season 1 that way.
And again, I don't know much from it, but it's almost like you could even like after that second episode where it's like, oh, I ate a fruit too. Here's the things that it does to me. You've like a comic book, you've basically said, okay, we can have a villain of the week every time if we want to now, on account of like, oh, we just point to this next guy. Oh, I ate a fruit. What are my crazy powers? And continue on. Comic books have been doing that nigh on since their inception.
And something I kind of like about Japanese storytelling, particularly as it comes to manga and anime, is it's like bowling with no gutters in a 50-foot lane and 600 pins. Like you just throw that ball anywhere you want and nobody can tell you it's wrong. And like you can be starting out with this straight romantic story and it can turn into something where aliens come down and possess the president. I mean, I love the fact that it is an uninhibited type of storytelling compared to Western storytelling where there's, your 7 basic plots and everything has to fit in. You got to hit your beats here and there. And with this live action story, they are trying to fit it into our Western expectations. But just as a whole, I love the fact that anime can turn on a dime, which is something that happens in things like Attack on Titan.
And now it's a religious drama. What now happened?
Well, I mean, I remember that one really great racing movie that you suggested that we watched during COVID, Adam. Yes. And it was so great because one, the story is just terrific, but then at the end, out of nowhere, it turned out that the girl he likes is in fact a prostitute. It's so crazy. Yes. It's so crazy.
And that was Initial D.
Yeah, Initial D. That's right.
I like the action in this. They decide to leave the camera nice and wide and like really show us that these people are doing these things. And in
few
a world,
exceptions, but yes.
Yeah, in a world though where we've gotten a lot of just like feels like we're sitting on green screen and we're just, ducking around a lot of bad, stunts and stuff like that. This is refreshing to see some wide shots and people running across and just really seeing some honest to goodness sword play and things like that. So it's a lot of fun.
And Netflix had some bad faith built up because, Cowboy Bebop, not beloved. The Netflix adaptation of Death Note, definitely not beloved. But something that separates this is they actually had the original mangaka, which is what you call the person who writes the manga, involved in the storytelling here. And I think it shows and the casting shows, and they understood that they have something with 1,000 episodes. So if you do this right, this is a cash cow you can milk until your hands fall off. And they really worked on getting it right.
One of the things that is working pretty well, and a lot of people saying like, hey, we're seeing it here. It can obviously be done for later on, but just seeing how good the stretching and stuff looks. So, give us an idea for, Mr. Fantastic is obviously going to be on the horizon at some point, but we've shown that we can make it look pretty decent now, I would say.
Before I lose my train of thought, I need to think of this too, because while we're talking about the computer effects. So one of the things about this show that I thought of towards the later episodes, because they keep hitting new locations, and in each new location there is clearly, there's actual practical sets that they're on, but they're also sweetening it with computer animation. So like I can't remember what episode is what. Like when they show up to the floating restaurant, I can't remember what episode that is, but time and time again. The backgrounds of of each location is so unique and cool and inspired, and they have to be taking this from the source material in the first place and just going, hey, let's make that a little bit brighter, let's do a little bit more. And while I'm watching it, I'm thinking, I literally thought this to myself: they are currently making Beetlejuice 2. I can almost guarantee you that what they're doing in One Piece is going to be better than what we see in Beetlejuice 2. Because in One Piece, they are not trying to outdo things that they've done in the past. They're basically taking source material and they're making little tweaks. Whereas with Beetlejuice 2, Tim Burton is going to be like, we have got to make Beetlejuice even more Beetlejuicerier, and it's not going to work, and it's not going to be satisfying.
Have you Beetlejuiced him up today?
He's casting Johnny Depp as Beetlejuice.
What did you say, Adam?
I don't remember. I had a joke. He was in there. They'll hear it in the edit.
I'm just like this is something that is very, very unique and fascinating to me, because I didn't know where things were going. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, orange hair girl's got a problem. They're going to fix that problem. I understand that part. The part that is crazy is like, oh, we're going to pick this person up. They're going to be a new crew member. We're going to pick this person up. This person's going to be a new crew member. And, we're going to go into their past and we're going to see each of their histories. That's just what, that's modern storytelling. That's the way that works. The part that's crazy to me is where some of these stories go. So, like, I'm not going to get into it too much because I don't know where episode 3 ends, but like there's a character that you think everything about this one character, and you're like, nope, totally wrong on that one. Everything's crazy about that character, and you didn't even know it. Like, it's great. And that's one of the things that I find so joyous about this show, is that it kept surprising me, because I also thought they were going to do the thing that most shows do, which is let's dump a ton of money into the pilot and then we're going to put less money into the rest of it because we spent all the money on the first episode because we don't need to. Yeah. And they didn't do that. It's really
That's the Jupiter's Legacy effect.
Yes. And it's fun to watch. It's like there's a bunch of surprises I didn't see coming, and just the story beats for the season, where I was like, well, didn't know that was going to happen. Didn't know that was going to happen. Which, when you watch as many superhero movies as we do, were you surprised by anything that happened in Ant-Man Quantumania?
Yeah, no, I was
surprised with the low quality CGI.
I was surprised.
It does look like Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Yeah, I was surprised that we shrunk down and we go like, hey man, we're going down to the most infinitesimal level and craziest stuff in the world. Get ready for the Marvel acid trip that you've been waiting for. We're going into the quantum realm, and it's going to be, a civilization filled of humanoid creatures just like you and me, but they're wearing a little bit of different clothing. Oh, great.
Bill Murray's here.
Yeah, Bill Murray's here. That's fun. Am I right, huh?
Yeah, I had a better mind warp on Shark Attack 3 Megalodon.
Bill Murray looked like he was just like just collecting a paycheck that day. Like,
of course, because that's what he was doing.
They put he's like, listen, I have to have the ATM there so I can deposit the check directly into it before I even leave.
They didn't even ask him to be in the show. He just showed up on set one day and like, well, we got to put him in.
Yeah, it feels like they just because they could have put that robe on anybody, It was just long and flowing enough. They're like, just throw that on Murray, get him in the scene a little bit. Because what does
Dax Shepard, you're cut. We're giving your role to Murray.
That's why Dax Shepard got into that downward spirals, because he got cut for Bill Murray. He has problems. He's fine now, from what I understand. So I
only kind of cute.
I jest in fun. I found the show completely again, I was kind of like you, Sean. I went in with nothing. That first episode, it kicked it off in quite the right way. They set the table in all the right fashions and stuff. And again, the characters speak flowery enough that there's things that we don't know and haven't seen at this particular point that you can almost see, because they're doing such a good job explaining to you what's going on. Oh, there's this trench. Here's this, here's how all the kind of quadrants and stuff line up and what everybody's doing and where they're going. And you got to love this character, because he's always on the positive. And so much of this character reminded me of myself in a lot of ways, where it's just I don't really have a plan. I'm also a very fly by your seat of your pants kind of guy, where I have great grand ambitions and plans for things, but they never quite get off the ground. Exactly.
Never tell people your secret.
All right, so we were talking off air about Save the Cat.
Mm-hmm.
And in this first episode, I'm going to say that Luffy saves the cat, because he comes and he rescues Zoro, and he's like, Zoro says, I'm not going to be part of your crew. And he's like, okay. I'm going to save you anyway. Bye. And he just like climbs back down into the drain. And that was part of telling us that Luffy is a guy you can like because he's doing what's right, even if there's nothing in it for him.
Yeah,
I think it's more. I think here's what I think. I think you're partially right, Bruce, because I think that at first, me as somebody who knows literally nothing about One Piece, as a matter of fact, has heard nothing but bad about One Piece, and then I have to go into it and watch three hours of this show against my will. I am not really raring to go with One Piece. So what they have to do,
lots of bad shows get 1,000 episodes.
well, that doesn't look. 100,000 Elvis fans are wrong. So like here's the thing.
How many episodes of My Three Dads were there, huh?
Exactly. 2.5 Men, get out of here. The Big Bang Theory, shut up.
Tons of stuff.
These shows are terrible, and they were the most popular shows on TV in America.
Gunsmoke was awesome.
That's true, though.
Yeah, I do actually like Gunsmoke. Anyway, so here's what they have to do to get to your point about Save the Cat, right? So me, as somebody who is an outside observer, who actually is a little hostile coming into it, one, they have to make me like Luffy out of the gate. First they have to get me interested in the show. You know how you get me interested in the show? You say that you're going to hang somebody or kill somebody in the opening scene, and then make them go up the world's largest, what I think is guillotine, but it's not. They end up just poking them with swords, and then kill that guy, and then he sets off a mass riot that makes everyone in town become pirates. Okay,
I love it.
So there's part one. All right, now you have my interest. Now you have to get me to like your main character. They've done that with Luffy. So they make so now that we're out of the first episode, and now I even like your main character Luffy, which I was not prepared to like.
Exactly, he's the one that like you get this whole thing about pirates and stuff, and you've got the guy who you figure is going to be he looks like the least likely person to be a pirate. Says, I'm going to be the king of the pirates. Somehow though, you kind of go like, all right, let's see what you got there, little guy, because like by looking at you and the circumstances that you're in right now, there's no way that you're going to become king of the pirates. So I'd like to see what you're going to do to try to do this with your absolutely nothing that you have on hand.
Right. So at this is the point that you're still right, Bruce, where we watch Luffy save the cat. We watched Luffy save the cat several times actually before we get to my next part of this series that they need to pull off, which is, so Luffy saves the cat. So now we like this main character, and we see him do it several times and remain positive and be a force for good. And it's not enough to be a pirate. You also have to be a good person to be on his crew. You see all of these things. But then what this show does is they go from Luffy needs to save the cat to Luffy is the cat. And now the rest of the cast, literally their main objective is to make sure that Luffy is safe. That is literally what the rest of this cast is about. So like you start gaining more crew members. Each crew member has to be part of this thing where he becomes the cat, right? And yeah, Luffy is going up against the big bad, but every single episode, like he has his moment with the worst of these folks. But because he's clever, he's not just the strongest pirate out there. He figures out how to defeat each of these people, and it is the rest of his crew's job to figure out how we keep Luffy going. And I love that this show does that, where they flip it, where, okay, now you like now we know you like Luffy because we've done a good enough job. Mm-hmm. So now we got to make you like the rest of the cast. And they do it.
And I'm going to say that Sonny Chiba's son does some awesome John Wick style, like fighting, like the I think it's either episode 1 or 2 where he's in the bar and he doesn't even draw his sword and he just uses like the empty sheath or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he like beats everybody up. Like that is so cool. And then when he's in like the main office or whatever, and he puts the sword in his teeth and Luffy goes, oh, that's where the third sword goes. Like that's pretty funny too. And he's like, you go low and I'll go high. And then of course Zoro goes low and high. Like he just does everything. I think that Zoro is the butt kicker of this story, and Luffy is like he's the plastic man. He's basically immortal and unstoppable, but by accident.
Yes.
And that's why I mean, Luffy very, very much is the plastic man of this story. Yeah. And I think that's what makes him work.
I agree. Totally agree.
I love how quickly he's ready for everything with his powers. He eats this fruit and all of a sudden he's just like, nope, this is just kind of what I do now. I'm very cool with this. Gonna make me a better pirate. That's what I'm just gonna do. So there you go.
And every good pirate calls out their finishing move, gum gum win.
Just again, it's another stupid great thing that I like, that also seems like it would be, there's a lot of child logic in this character as well.
Yes.
Which is great.
In the anime, Luffy does seem to be about 12 years old, unlike the guy here in the live action.
Yeah, I figure like to me, it seems like the character, so to speak, is like 15 and maybe a little bit developmentally disabled. Not disabled, but at least
delayed.
Delayed. That's probably a better term. Just a little bit where you're just like, I'm not sure that all those crayons are in the box, you know?
He's 20 years. The actor himself is 20 years old. As that
sounds about right.
But he's not the shiniest peanut in the turd, as they say.
Yes, everybody does say that.
He looks like the character. I love how, like, again, you know, because anime is obviously very like exaggerated and specific and stuff like this, and this kid's just as bony and skinny as the character in the show and everything. So I don't know. It all adds up really well, and just again,
and he's got beautiful curly hair that works.
Yeah. He's got and do not look. I know he looks like a beanpole. He's got super well-defined arms.
Oh yeah.
Not everybody can just wear a vest and pull that off. This kid can. He's got washboard abs. Like, he's doing just fine, this kid. But like, it's one of those things where it's like, if you saw him in real life, you would not think he is like little and skinny. You would immediately go, that kid plays basketball every single day.
When the straw hat comes off, you're like, oh, okay, this kid's kind of good looking. You can kind of see it, like he stands a little bit better, and you're like, oh, okay, there's a Hollywood star under there.
Also, the cutoff jorts aren't doing him any favors.
Well, you know,
I feel like he's wearing like the shorts they wore in the latest season of Stranger Things to make you look like shorter than you are. You know what I mean?
Yes, I totally agree. I totally agree. Who do you think you're fooling, Stranger Things? We know that those kids are no longer children.
One of them has a gray streak in his hair, for God's sake.
I'm going into third grade this year, boss. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's going to be rough.
I need a cigarette in between dodgeball matches.
I don't like it. Stomps it out with a little tiny shoe.
So I gotta say, there is a character that if you have only watched 3 episodes, like I think that you guys have only watched 3 episodes.
Yeah,
right?
honestly, like a quick spoiler alert for review. I wouldn't be opposed to watching more of this.
It is worth your time, Adam. I think you totally should. There is a character. His name is Chef Zeph. He is by far my favorite.
He's great
character.
in the anime. He is great in the anime. I've not seen the live action version yet.
He is by far my favorite character on the show. He is. You think you know who he is when the show starts, when he starts to show up, and you are so wrong. And he is by far, not even close, my favorite character on this show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this because again, it was and you're right, Bruce. When you think back to that sort of thing, and I'd heard Tale of One Piece before this show came out and everything, but again, with the 1,000-show deficit, you're just like, ugh, I ain't climbing that mountain. That ain't no good.
Way.
And because that's the thing. Listen to who's doing this show. We're a bunch of nerds, and you don't want to. You don't want to not do all the things, right? Because
I'm a completionist.
We are.
We're going to watch episode 4 until I've seen all 1,000 anime episodes.
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
See our Bible Man review.
Yeah, we start with the OG, man. We don't go to the. We could go to the best Bible Man episode, but it's not gonna. You're not gonna appreciate that.
What is
unless you go through the other
Bible Man?
I don't know, but we might have to. We might bring some Bible Man back. You never know.
Maybe that's where we're steering towards. This is because of Bible Man only podcast.
Oh my goodness, it would be
Just Bible
so
bit.
popular with certain people that we don't like.
You say that, but like the show would blow up, and we just like they were like, "Listen, we want you to review all the after school Christian."
Next thing you know, we got what's
VHS
that
tapes.
Bannon guy? He's on the show as a guest.
Steve Bannon.
Steve Bannon comes in and
got some good ideas. That guy.
That Shapiro dude is showing up.
But I shocked at how much like this is that I was on board. I was on board right away with the show and having something where there's 8-10 episodes, however, 8 is how Netflix normally does. So with that's a lot more digestible to me. And with this being as fun as it is,
992 to go.
Fine, exactly. Just these kids are going to be 45 before they get to like season 3.
Well, that's the point, right? Is that I think that we're going to see, especially since I would imagine, I mean, Bruce has alluded to it a little bit, but I would imagine that they're jetpacking a lot of the script here in order to move plot along. And I'm here for it because I think that the pace of what we're doing on this show is just perfection.
Here's the crazy thing I've heard. Netflix wants to make an animated adaptation of the live action adaptation of One Piece. And I'm not lying.
That does
like there's
seem
already
like
1,000 episode anime, but they want to make like the Netflix cartoon One Piece. And they don't want it to be called an anime, but a cartoon.
Yeah, that sounds like that comes from anime's brain trust or Netflix brain trust over there, so to speak.
It do.
Because dumb. Just don't.
It do be,
what we're going to do is we're going to take Quentin Tarantino's movie and turn it into a serial. Huh? Why?
Man,
on
I
account
love
of we
cereal.
can. On account of we can. That's why we do it.
I kind of want to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood again now.
Oh, that movie is so good.
Yeah, let's make it.
I'm all about the stuntman. That's my guy.
We'll do it in 16 parts, put it on Netflix, and jumble it up and add things that weren't in the I don't know. That doesn't make no sense.
Man,
to me.
I could watch Brad Pitt just driving around like late 60s LA for at least 3 episodes, and that's all he does.
Something about a tough guy wearing moccasins just makes me happy.
Billy
leather
Jack.
socks. He goes out in leather socks.
Billy Jack.
Read the book. You learn a little bit more about that character.
I don't.
That he's a really
anymore.
bad guy. I already figured that part out.
He's not the
I
greatest.
don't read anything unless I wrote it.
That's kind of like me. All right, let's get well. Before we get to it, actually, what am I doing? I'm over here trying to skip the lane and get to the fast pass. That's no good.
There's no way there's a Stallone connection
shut
for
up
this
and
Japanese anime adaptation.
Okay, Sean, have a question.
Oh, you wait. Thank you, Adam. I have a prepared statement. Gum Stallone connection, Mr. Stallone. You may remember Craig Fairbrass. He plays Chef Zeph in One Piece, also known as Red Shoes because he's always murdering people and gets blood all over his shoes. He played Delmar in Cliffhanger, which boasts the talent of you, Sylvester Stallone, and is probably Rennie Harlan's best movie, but I'm willing to listen to your opinion on this subject. But Craig Fairbrass is probably best known for his role on The EastEnders playing Dan Sullivan. But as a disgusting, ugly American, I know nothing about The EastEnders. I'm guessing it's a soap opera. Maybe it's about British gangs. I have no idea. But the job Craig Fairbrass worked on that I'd like to talk about today is a show called Duck Patrol, a show that IMDb describes as a gentle sitcom. I had never heard these two words used together before, so I decided to dive deeper. Turns out a nearly prepubescent, before he was even hot, David Tennant is second billed on this show. And while it only lasted 1 season, it had its fans, which isn't really a surprise. This podcast has its fans, and this show is awful. But as we all know, hearing people wax poetic about a bad show isn't where the fun lies. The fun lies in the really awful user reviews on IMDb. And today's review comes from someone who, yet again, has used their real name. So from this point forward, I'm going to refer to them as Buggy. Buggy writes a review entitled, Lazy Rubbish with an All-Star Cast. After you listen to this review, you will be hard-pressed to tell me that this review wasn't written by a disenfranchised teenage British boy. Here we go. Mr. Stallone, from here on out, I will be using excerpts from his review. This series mistook depiction of camaraderie for comedy. There was no comedy. You probably won't have seen the Japanese psychedelic horror comedy Hayasu if you were reading this. So I will instead compare it to the Weetabix. The characters were like the Weetabix gang. The characters' names were descriptions of their single distinguishing character trait. I wish you were the kind of people who have probably watched Hayasu. It's a better analogy. Like the Weetabix gang, you, the viewer, are supposed to watch it, half wishing that you too were part of their gang. As I watched it as long as I could stand, wishing the stuff that happens in Hayasu would happen to them. Please ignore the good reviews. Most people who saw any of this god-awful travesty take the view that it isn't even worth reviewing. And there you have it, Mr. Stallone. Oh, sorry. 1 star out of 10. And there you have it, Mr. Stallone. This week's Stallone connection is actor Craig Fairbrass, which is a name I have a very hard time saying out loud. I hope to hear from you soon. Your pal, Sweet Chauncey, the Hartford Hellion.
You know, they say Delmar a whole bunch in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Delmar. Like his name gets almost said nearly as much as Stallone character's name, which I don't.
Because he's such a huge dude. Like he's massive compared to everybody else on the crew.
Yeah, you even look at his headshot and you're just like, oh, scary man. Yeah, I'd be running away from you.
Yeah.
All right, here at HMP, we have our own patented Robin rating system. Bruce, where do the first 3 episodes of One Piece fall in the Robin rating system for you? And are you interested in more?
I'm interested in more to start off with. And then the first 3 episodes really kind of feel comfortable. They really, in my opinion, do a better job of explaining this story up front better than the anime does. And I'm not trying to make enemies here, but you know, it is what it is. I had a good time. I'm ready to go back for more. And I think that I'm going to say this is some Tim Drake stuff here.
Yeah. I'll go next because I haven't seen the whole thing. So, but for me, yeah, I'm kind of the same boat, same grade and everything. Little Tim Drake, it's good stuff. I'm interested. It makes me want to see more. I want to kind of obviously hold back a little bit before we gonna get to the end here and everything. But again, another one that's a little bit of a shocker. I was shocked, and again, with Netflix and their kind of recent history with stuff, it's like, oh boy, I don't know how well we're gonna do.
The people who brought you Red Notice,
Red Notice, and Unlock and Key wasn't terrible, but like it was there and it was gone, and some hit and miss. And this one they actually hit. I like it a whole bunch, and am curious enough to see more. And what do you say? 8 episodes, so 5 more episodes. That's like nothing, And I can
better
space
than Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, and I can space them apart a little bit, which I think will make it a little bit better because I had to just slam bang them 1, 2, 3 last night. But if I kind of separate out a little bit more, I think this would be a good time.
That used to be my dating strategy, Adam.
Sean.
For me, I'm as shocked as everyone else. This is a Dick Grayson for me.
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
I don't think you can outdo this thing. Like that's to me, that's what makes something really like really special. Is that you're not going to out One Piece. This is.
Wait till you see Werewolf Fighter 2. It will out One Piece this.
We shall see about that. So like the thing that's so surprising about the show to me is that you could have gone wrong in 70 different ways and make this thing garbage, but there's not a misstep on this show. As someone who knows nothing about One Piece, I don't go into it with like, well, if they make him look like this, I'm not that way, and neither should you be, because this thing is it is kind of a miracle with how good it is. And I cannot wait to watch season 2, because I'm going to imagine that they're going to make this thing until Netflix makes a really poor decision and just drops it. And that's a shame, because this is their best show on their channel now.
That's what people are saying. It's getting really good reviews. Like it's an IMDb 8.4, and if you know how IMDb's averages work out, that's quite high. So it's I feel like it's successful enough that, again, and they're losing stuff and kind of foot ground and everything there. I think that they and Disney and a whole bunch of other people are going to start to be smarter and just focus things in a particular direction. And I think that will behoove all of us, actually, at the end of the day.
It does look kind of expensive, which means it
is expensive.
It is expensive, but if it puts butts in seats, that's fine. Yeah. And what you need to do then is divert money. And it sounds bad, and I'm sorry for, whatever, it is what it is, but you need to divert money away from things that aren't going to sell, that aren't going to put butts in seats, so to speak. And divert that money to the things that will. It is what it is. Now, I'm not saying that you don't make artsy things and that's not a thing, but when you're in the business that Netflix is currently in, you need to be making some money.
Yeah,
season 2 is going to have like styrofoam ships and stuff. It's going to be noticeable.
Yeah,
keep making Kissing Booth movies because that is your biggest seller. Like Kissing Booth,
Snoochie.
Kissing Booth is like this runaway train of success from them. Keep making those, and then with the money that you're making from those subscriptions, put it into One Piece, please.
Put Joey King in One Piece, problem solved.
But that's like, it really is like, that's what they should be doing, is taking that as kind of like their, I don't want to say loss leader, but as like their revenue generating thing, and then pump it into this other thing because obviously that thing, Kissing Booth, it costs no money to make, especially in comparison to this thing. So yeah.
Well, it's basically the Nightmare on Elm Street of Netflix, right? I mean,
because they spend a lot of money on plaid skirts for that show.
Well, they're spending money on that on One Piece also. That girl goes through like 15 different costume changes, and I'm like, that poor girl.
But I do love it that they have the baseball trucker caps, which is so faithful to the anime, but looks awful in live action for the movie.
It looks so bad, but there's part of you that likes how bad it looks. I also like to think that that's what they think like U.S. Marines are like. Like that's what they do there, right? Like, no, that's not even remotely close. We're pretty sure that's what it is.
I'm going to do no research at all.
I just put Marines right there on top of the hat. It's kind of great. All right, that is it, everybody. Another one down, and hey, we'll come back to the other half of this in some time, perhaps. But we'll check all that. And if you'd like to have us do that, why don't you email us at heromoviepodcast@gmail.com and let us know what you think. Bruce, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
I'm begging people to go to YouTube and watch Werewolf Fighter before I get like a moment of low self-esteem and I feel like it's bad, and then I just like put it private and you can't see it anymore.
I thought you were going to say before this YouTube censors take it down.
You should not do that.
I know, but it's me. I know myself, and that happens sometimes. So go to YouTube and watch Werewolf Fighter. Also, be on the lookout for me as a guest on All American Spook Show, talking about a movie of their choice and also trying to plug a little Werewolf Fighter to those horror movie fans. So be on the lookout.
It's the last time I was invited on that show. Sean, what else?
So can we talk about this for a second before I'm not going to plug anything today.
That's fine.
Because All American Spook Show was on our show, right? Those are the same guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want to clarify something. I think that because I re-listened to that episode a while back, and I was like, "Ooh, I came off like a jerk to them," because when we were rolling for the show, Adam hadn't introduced them yet, and he started talking to them on the show, and so I said, "Who are these people?" or something like that.
Oh,
and they immediately, one of those guys immediately went, "Exactly, right?" And I was like, "Oh no, they think that I'm saying something awful about them," which is so not the case. I was mad at Adam for not introducing them first.
I'll tell you, 2 movies they hate are Halloween Kills and Megan.
Okay. They can hate those movies,
but I love those movies, so we're gonna have it out.
Check it. So check out All American Spook Show wherever you find podcasts. I think that's ultimately what our giant plug here is for these guys. You know what else I want to plug? Our YouTube channel. I don't know if we're at it, but we're darn near close to 11,000 subscribers on a channel that we just upload the audio to this show to every week. So that's another thing that maybe you don't know, that if you're out there and you don't have access to a podcasting device of some sort, go check out Hear Movie Podcast on YouTube, and we're right there. All the shows are there.
If we get to 15,000 subscribers, I will send Adam some videos of me dancing that he can upload.
Ooh.
Wow.
If
I'm a heck of a dancer.
If that don't wet you whistle, I don't know what's gonna. So links
I'm
for
a
that
phenomenal. Now I know you're lying. I'm a phenomenal dancer. Why do I have to go show it off like that?
I'm like Rerun, baby.
They've been calling them the White Rerun for years. Next week, we are going to be covering, since Bruce forced me to subscribe. By the way, thanks to patreon.com/HMP. And so I didn't feel like a complete jerk giving Netflix some money so I could review this program this week. So in that case, we're also staying on the Netflix train a little bit. And we're going to be reviewing David Fincher's new movie, The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender. That also is available on Netflix. So we'll be checking that out.
I'm looking forward to that.
So big David Fincher fan over here. We'll talk about that man's work and what he is doing in film and television today. That is it, everybody. Join us next week when we're talking The Killer. For Sweet Seans and Kovacs from the internet, Bruce Leslie, I'm Adam Porters. Stay super, everybody.
Bye, Marty and Evie.
Hartford Hellion.